Welcome in, everyone. This is the Lotus Lounge here on Plenty of Fish app. My name is Top Badge Umabi 1111. Big shout out to Zen Logic. Um, I'm seeing my name Zen Zen Logical. Big shout out to Zen Logical for taking my 18.1 milli. I'm going to be wearing her name for the next 2 days. Tonight we have Zen as our featured guest, and we are going to be doing our Wellness Wednesday segment. Today we're talking about childhood trauma. Zen is a streamer here on the app, as well as someone who has a bachelor's in psychology and have studied people her entire life. She comes with a wealth of knowledge, and trust me when I say you're going to really enjoy her. So please put a round of applause in the comments, drop those clapping hand emojis as we welcome in our friend, our sis, Zen.
Oh my God, I need you to give my entrance every time I go. I just need you I need you to just, every time I go somewhere, I need you to make that announcement, right? Hey,
I
hi,
could
hi,
do it for
guys.
you. I could do it for you. Welcome in, Zen. How does it feel to be back? I mean, are you recovered from our earlier conversation?
I don't know what you did. I was like, I need to call you because I think we both were crying.
I I had a good cry. I'm not gonna lie to you. And you guys, I don't ever feel like I'm sharing personal information about myself that's gonna like damage me. I do feel being a streamer and being real about what you go through is very helpful and healing for people. And Zen touched on a nerve, as she usually does with me, and I was very open about this conversation. So I'm glad to pick it back up. Um, Childhood trauma. Wow. What can we talk about that we have not talked about earlier today in the earlier stream?
um, hmm, there's a lot there. Um,
Oh,
I want to say this, right?
yeah, go ahead.
I want to say this, and I'm going to speak from personal experience for a second. I'm a child of childhood trauma. I'm a woman of childhood trauma. But instead of feeling the pain of trauma, what I did was I gaslit myself to believe that it wasn't what it was.
I relate because that was actually going to be my question to you. I have recently discovered that I too am a child of childhood trauma. And how do we get rid of this feeling of feeling guilty? Like, I have so much guilt sitting here talking to you guys about the fact that I am a product of childhood trauma because I feel like I'm letting my parents down, I'm hurting my parents, I'm shaming, like, why do we have this guilt when we're just talking about our experiences and what we've experienced? And how do we make this right in our head about our families that we know deep down they meant the best for us, they meant well, they didn't purposely do this to us, they themselves don't know what they're doing, like as you said, they're not self-aware. So how do we have peace in ourselves about this?
It wasn't until Father's Day this year that I started to let go of the expectations I have in parenting from my father. 4 years. If you don't know my story, my mother died when I was 12 years old. She died Christmas Eve of '89. And my dad was my only parent. So, being the only girl in the house, he really didn't have the understanding of what I needed from him as a parent. So, I was kind of the one that didn't get the affection or didn't get the time or didn't get the understanding from my father because he's a man, but my brothers got it. So, growing up in my home, I felt like I was optional. I didn't feel like a priority. I didn't feel like I was a part of them. It was the boys and her. And were you the only set of something, what that does is it makes you feel isolated and alone within itself. But then when you have the only other female not be there anymore, what that did for me personally, it caused me to gaslight myself.
That gaslighting.
So I said, hey, to survive the isolation I had in my life, I gaslit myself to believe that, oh, one day when I grow up, I'm going to find someone and they're going to love me and everything's going to be great.
Yep.
Yay. And then got out here and finally realized it ain't that story.
It was never that
Right.
story. I just
Right.
want to say sorry, to the people in the comments, it is an open box party in the Wellness Wednesday Lounge. So if you want to come in here and join the chat with me and Zen, please request the box. Absolutely. We do have a comment. Um,
Yes.
Anomaly asks how people with severe abandonment issues tend to push people away who try to love them, don't know how to accept love. Anomaly, I think it's too early in the show to call me out. Okay. Like, I think we just got to back it up, sis. Like,
Just a
stop,
little bit.
stop coming for my throat. That is a great
I,
question.
I thought we liked each other. Why are you calling
Oh,
me out?
I thought we were cool.
Anomaly, what happened? Did I not feed the cat enough? What are we doing?
Oh my god. Like,
I
that's
have
so
I just
cool.
on top of that, I heard what you said about feeling guilty about speaking your truth with your experience, and there's been times where I had to tell my mom because I would say something, the truth, and she'd get defensive, like this spirit of defensiveness. And I'm like, hold up, this is like your experience of my childhood was way different from my experience of my childhood. Like you experienced my childhood from the outside. I experienced it in a whole different narrative. So don't tell me what like that I'm feeling something and I'm inaccurate in my experience. Like don't gaslight me, you know?
I relate so much to your question because I do have abandonment issues and it's been a struggle for me. I've talked openly on the app about why I've been in so many relationships because I have been, you know, afraid to like connect with someone because I'm afraid they're going to leave or just I create that scenario. So how do we get love as adults that have these abandonment issues?
But
Um,
also it's like a way to test people to see if they're for the challenge. Like if like
Yeah,
I put through the ringer because I want to prove like see you
that you
left.
love me
Yeah, yeah.
and that you're not going to leave. No matter what I do, you're not going to leave.
Doesn't mean that I do like outrageous acts or anything, but it's like I'm gonna test you in a healthy way and what I feel like is a healthy way. I'm gonna test you and I'm gonna challenge you, and I'm watching to see if you're a flight risk or not. So
That's
sorry,
what
I
I'm
have to
saying.
work, so I'm listening. I just don't know if you can hear my clippers.
Oh, that's okay. When you clip, I'm going to mute while you clip. You'll be
Okay,
good.
okay.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Go ahead, Zen.
so you have to understand when you have abandonment issues or when you have issues of isolation in your childhood or if you have any adverse issues, you take people for their actions of consistency. So if you're struggling through something and someone is in your life and they say, I want to be there with you, their consistency of actions will show up in your life. So if you're not receiving the action that support those words, then that person is not really there for the right reasons. So we have to be more mindful of how people act, not what they say. I think a lot of times we want it so bad that we listen to the words and then we fight for the action. Why aren't you spending time with me? Why aren't you acknowledging me? Why don't we go out on dates? And why don't we? And you're saying, "Hey, I matter. Do I not matter to you?" And that's the toxicity of our choices. We choose people who are emotionally unavailable and then require them to open up and be available. But if someone says, I'm available day out from the beginning, what we do is we put that person in a position to say, oh, they're trying to rise me up so they can throw me away later. I don't think I want that. But we feel comfortable, people with abandonment issues, we feel comfortable struggling for love. And that's the penny quarter scenario from earlier. We have been given pennies our whole life. So when someone comes in our life and changes the this is how I value you. I value at this penny, but hey, I see you as a dollar. So I'm gonna give you a dollar of my time because you're worth it. You're like, oh no, you're smothering me. You're doing too much. I don't know what you're doing. Why are you doing that? We feel like now we owe them something. And then at that moment, we're going to be anxious and walking on eggshells and feeling like we can't quite get it together because we don't know love at that level. But let me bless you, you have to understand a person's consistency of actions in your life will tell you exactly how they feel about you, not the words. A pair of
Mm.
lips can say anything, but it's their action to sit, stick, and stay in the fight of life with you that will tell you that that person is for you. It's there for you. And it's that consistency you need to become comfortable with. But you have to ask yourself, am I brave enough to receive another person's consistency? Am I ready to shuck my fears and say, this person wants to be in my life and wants to share this journey with me? And don't worry about the end, because I want y'all to understand, and this is what people with abandonment issues have to understand, everything has an expiration date, voluntarily or involuntarily, whether it's the end of life or whether that person walks out of your life. Everything has an expiration date. Your car, your television, those clippers you're cutting with, the lights, everything on the planet has an expiration date. All things come to an end. So when you learn to accept that understanding and that philosophy, you don't go in worrying about the end because you know it's the end. You go in with the mindset to say, while it's here, I'm going to enjoy it.
Mm.
Now you're no longer in fear of what's next. You're no longer in fear of
It's
what
like
you
it
can
starts
do
to
in the
change.
relationship. Okay. You're no longer in fear. You are absolutely now in control of the process. So
Wow.
get this moral agreement in your head. Everything that has a beginning has an end. It's not about the end. It's about the journey between what began and what ended. So when you leave that person and that person walks out of your life, or the end of life happens, you can say, while they were here, I loved them back. I gave them the best of me. I was brave enough, despite what people told me, I was brave enough to give them what I have, all of what I have.
Mm. Oh,
That's
that's so good. That's so good. I
good.
just I noticed that I tend to want people to earn being in my life, and before when I had nothing, you know, it was just I had no strategy, but now that I have a lot to offer financially, emotionally, now I'm just like I really want them to earn it. So is that a toxic way of thinking, or is that what do you think about that?
That's a double edged sword. It can be a toxic way of thinking because you are being a guard, right? You're guarding the child that was hurt,
I was about to say, because
right?
I don't know about this topic like Zen do. I was just going to speak from my personal experience and say that's
Yeah,
exactly how
yeah,
I felt.
yeah. You're guarding the child that was hurt. You're guarding the child that was abandoned. You're guarding the child. So I looked at it like this when I was going through it. It's a house. Inside of one of those rooms is a little girl, a little boy that you put in there, and you lock the door and you say, I'm going to keep you in here to be safe. The problem with that scenario is that child is not getting human connection.
Mm.
Right.
You're guarding that child and you're keeping that child safe. But the older you get, the less that child's enthusiasm to play become. And that becomes your new internal depression.
Okay.
Because now you are responsible. The you today is responsible to be that child's best friend.
Ooh.
That makes sense to me because when I was younger in my 30s, I had a boyfriend and he was very kind, very sweet, very nice. And I treated him badly. And he said to me, he said, you know what you're like? And he's like, I'm not calling you a dog. He said, I'm just giving you a picture. He said, you're like a dog that has been caged for years. And I'm coming to the cage to try to open it and try to offer you a piece of steak. And you're trying to bite the hand literally that feeds you. And that analogy just sticks with me for throughout the years because that's sometimes how I feel, like I'm a caged animal. And when people get too close or too kind or too sweet, I'm like always like on the defensive, like what's in it
Absolutely.
for you? What is in
Yeah.
it for you? And this
Yeah.
this is the crazy part. I can give of myself to my friends, to my partner, to my children. I can give you everything I have, the clothes off my back. But when you do it to me, it's a problem because you got ill intent. I don't have ill intent, but you have ill intent. Isn't that wild? Thank
Yes, yes, that's wow. Because what you're doing, because you suffered such trauma, you were like, this is what you told the child part of yourself. I will never experience pain again.
you.
Right? You told the child in you, you're not going to suffer. I'm going to protect you. So what you did was you locked that child in a room and you say, stay in here. You're safe. You're safe. But the safest thing that child can do is grow. And a lot of us are holding on to the 4-year old, 5-year old, 10-year old versions of ourselves. Instead of us being parents to our own trauma and saying, yes, this happened, but you got to get back out there and try it. I'm going to be there with you. And so until we recognize that the child in us need friends, we're going to always be guardians of our own heart.
So for
It's
people,
okay. Someone breaks your heart. It's okay. Remember, everything has an expiration date. That's a them problem, not a you reality. But what we do is we marry their pain and we make it our reality. And sometimes we even marry our own pain and make it our reality.
so
You are not what you've been through. That's not who you are. That's what you've been through.
and
And
that's
to go through something, that means you started on this side, but you're now over here. Somehow you went through it.
thank you, honey. Um, yeah, we both have questions. Go ahead, Anomaly.
Mine's a bit long in the tooth. You could go first.
Um, I forgot mine honestly. Go ahead.
So I love that you're on this stream and you're giving out your expertise
Yeah,
freely.
thank you.
And I feel like because I'm not paying you, like there's no ulterior motive. Whereas I love my therapist, but I feel like is like I want to really know, is it possible that somebody who grew up like me in an abnormal scenario, and just to give you a little bit of history about me, both my parents were addicts. My mom was a heroin addict. My dad was a tweaker, and I got in the system when I was 5 years old. My first group home, and I didn't go to foster care. I went to group homes, which is a way different. And I spent 13 years institutionalized in 18 different group homes, and I went to juvie like 18 times, 20 times in 5 different counties. Like I have a spreadsheet, and all I know is solitary confinement. All I know is being like not having any connection like with anybody for any period of time. So with that said, being treated like an animal, force fed medication, restrained, physically restrained by staff members, put in a PSR room, a padded room when I'm misbehaving, like making me face, a corner while everyone else is programming together. Like I was a bad kid, but it's because I felt betrayed and I didn't feel worthy and I felt unlovable. And to this day, I feel that. And there's evidence, I just got out of an engagement. And it's like, am I stuck this way forever?
The heads up. Okay. Go ahead, Zen. What would you respond to that?
Um, Again, I will say it like this. I'm trying to find a way to say it. You are not what you've been through.
We are
But
not
I
what we've
can't
been through.
put that down. Like I
I
can't.
want you to sit right there for like a few seconds. I need you just to breathe. Don't justify it. It was against your own truth. What you were fighting for was your own humanity. You were fighting to be seen humanely, and you were treated highly inhumane. That is not your fault. That's your reality. You did nothing to deserve that. Everything you did was to react to being institutionalized. I need you to marry this idea really quick. You did nothing wrong. You were just fighting to be seen as someone who has a mind, body, and spirit. You wanted to be a free thinking individual in an isolated environment. You understand?
I just
You
wanted to
did nothing wrong.
to anomaly. If if it takes a while to process this, what Zen is saying to you, be okay with that, because I'm 45 years old, and what Zen is saying, I literally just came to realize just about a couple days ago. So I'm right now going through my own processing because of my therapist. And I want to say to you too, my therapist is great. She does couples counseling for me and my person, and then also my own counseling. But because of how resistant I am right now to everything, like I notice when people are welcome in. I notice that when people are trying to help me, I feel like they have an ulterior motive. I've now even said my therapist has an ulterior motive. And, I'm paying her, but she does not have an ulterior motive. But I don't know why I can't get it out of my head. And she actually said to my person, I think we need to pause couples counseling for a bit. I got to work with Uma.
Mm.
So what Zen is saying is 100,000% true. And I've heard it before, Zen, but I got to tell you, I don't know why it took me till I'm 45 to understand what happened to me as a kid was not my fault. I'm a good person, but it took me so long to figure it out. Does that make sense? Why does it take that
Absolutely.
long?
The reason it takes so long to figure out, like I said, that kid was locked in that room. All you did was open the door. Now you have allowed that kid to come out. You've allowed that kid to come out and play and be in his innocence. You were brave enough to say, "Ooh, I can't leave this locked here. I'm going to unlock the door." And the kid is now coming out, and the kid's like this, "Oh my God, where am I? What happened? Why am I?" And you get that anxiety and that nervousness. And the kid gets to see the sun for the first time, gets to be in the yard and touch grass for the first time. So everything is new and interesting, but it's also scary, right? So you're going to live in fear of situations and conditions that are not normalized in your life. And you're now coming to the realization that I deserve these things, that I am worthy of these things, that I need these things to thrive and survive in this world. Understand this: you cannot live and survive at the same time. You got to choose, and that choice has to be brave. And let your partner know, I'm not perfect. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to freeze up. I'm not going to always be presently aware. I'm a person in way more need of your love than in your patience and your flexibility than most. I lived a life of isolation and loneliness, and I've gotten comfortable there. So I just want to know, if I come and lay on you, that I don't have to talk about it. I just want to be in the presence of someone who says that they love me, and I want to learn how love feels for me. You have the right to be respected, appreciated, admired. You have the right to be held. You have the right to be hugged. You have the right to be felt. So if you're in an environment with someone, for people who have suffered abandonment issues, if you are in a situation with someone that's not protective of your peace, however it comes, even if they don't have to remove themselves from you for a while to give you that peace and comfort to come back around, then that's not the person for you. We get in these relationships expecting to receive, but we don't think about what we're giving. So when you deal with someone who has childhood abandonment issues, isolation, depressive issues, you have to be available, not present. That means when they're hurting, when they go through it, they want to just come and lay on you without talking about it. They just want to know that you're like a comfort pillow. When we were little, I don't know if you guys had this, you had that big teddy bear, and you I know you don't, but listen, go get your teddy bear. That'll get you started, Miss Anomaly. Go get the biggest, most beautiful teddy bear, and find one and decorate it, put it on a shirt, do whatever you want to do.
So
Learn how to lay on that teddy bear and cry.
I know both of y'all, right? And y'all
As
see the
this
bar.
is
Y'all see the bar, right? Can y'all see the bar that's
as this is a show. This is the Wellness Wednesday show. We have our special guest Zen, and we're talking about childhood trauma. So this is not a conversation stream. If you'd like to participate, Zen is the teacher in this stream right now, so you can join us or hang out in the comments. Welcome in.
But
Go
how
ahead,
can
Zen,
I
sorry.
give something that I don't have? Like how in this past relationship, I learned I am not a nurturer.
Absolutely.
My fiance got sick, and I'm like, take this, take that, lay down, drink this. Like there was like I don't know how to be like coddling because I've never gotten that, and it's like I want to be right.
Absolutely. And that's what the bear is for. The bear is for you to learn how to receive comfort.
Yeah, let's see where this beam coming from that's pointing at me. What you think? It's a beam, right?
All right.
Real shit.
So I wanted to chime in and say I'm the same way. Thank you, Kyle. I'm the same way because I've always been like men. It's funny, men in my relationships will be like, "You're so cold." Like when I'm affectionate, I have to be in the mood, I have to be in the zone, and when I am, I'm like the most beautiful thing. But then I tend to be very cold and non-empathic. But I'll tell you something. I also when I met my man, he's from Brooklyn. He tells people all the time he's from the streets. Very hard, very hard demeanor. But something about me softened him up, and something about him softened me up. So I think also too that this part comes in time when you meet a person and you guys just vibe and for some reason you trust each other and you're able to be vulnerable with each other. There was something about your ex that didn't make you take all your barriers all the way down. And I've learned to trust that because before I used to judge myself for being a cold bitch. But now I realize there was something about each of those men that did not allow me to completely take my barriers down. And I'm starting to trust that now. Go ahead, Zen.
Yeah. What having, I'm serious. This is literally, what they do with children in therapy. Get a teddy bear, get a white one. You want to write all of your fears on that bear. And yeah, that's cool. But when you lay on that bear, I want you to bear all your tears there.
Can it be a dog?
You could call it the tear bear.
No. See, your goal is to give the dog love. See, you're great at giving things love. You need to be good at receiving it. So you need to be able to lay and receive it. And what that does, I know it's an inanimate object, but it's the softness of that bear that will feel like you're laying in your mother's lap. When you learn how to train your mind to see empathy in a logical way, you will start being logical in your approach for empathy. You will get the connection that you were not able to learn at a young age.
What if my mom makes me feel uncomfortable?
I'm not talking about your mom. I'm talking about a mom, right?
Okay.
So the idea, right? The nurturing idea of motherhood, right? Because your mom without those drugs would have been a great mom.
But you know what's funny? Sometimes we invite people into our lives to be the mom we didn't have. Like when you tell me a mom nurturing presence, that my mom tells people she has no empathy. She is a straight narcissist and she's proud of it. She really just don't care. But when you say a comforting mother present, I think about my babysitter. I had a babysitter when I was growing up, and I called her auntie, but she was more like my mom than my mom, So I would say the anomaly, think of somebody in your life that you invited into your life to fill that mom role because you didn't have a mom.
Yeah, use that and make sure you write on the bear, write on that bear, literally write on the fur and say, I deserve love. Let that bear become your friend. And when you're ready to you got to understand, children, you notice children at a very young age are given toys for comfort. They learn their empathetic ways by having that teddy bear, dragging it around, taking it in. Here, eat some cereal. Here, drink this juice. By the time you're done with that bear have a whole bunch of marks on it from everything you done. It got a gummy bear stuck in the fur. You know what I'm saying? The fur be having all gummy bears up in it because you've been feeding the gummy bears. And then when you get to a certain age, the mom takes the bear away and say, okay, We're going to have to give them a new home. What that does is teaches the child that it was great while it was there, but it may end one day. You know, it's like the pacifier. So you have to understand that having that thing to pour your heart into, pour your energy into, is the equivalent of someone journaling. You're just journaling with that bear, and you are using that bear as a place for your tears. You're going to go through it with that bear. You're going to throw it aside the room one day. One day you might get mad and say, here, bear, I'm tired of you, and throw it aside the room. Whatever issues you have, it's best to do it with an inanimate object than to do it with a partner.
I want to take a quick poll in the room for anybody who's in here. Put a 1 in the comments if you have a great relationship with your mom. Put a 2 in the comments if you have a great relationship with your dad. Put a 3 in the comments if you have a great relationship with both, and put a 4 in the comments if you do not have a relationship with either. Well, why not? Oh, you could talk. I unmuted.
I just, wouldn't you think that it's better to try it on a dog though, to try accepting love from a dog, if that's even like a issue?
Absolutely. You can do that. That's fine, but you're becoming codependent.
And we love a
But
codependency. We do.
You're going to become codependent on the dog's presence for your love. And what happens is when that has the final expiration date, you're going to be broken a lot further than you are now. So one thing about having that bear is it always will be there as needed. And then as you break the codependency, you will start to become your whole self. Now you don't need the bear. You'll find yourself needing the bear less. You'll find yourself needing the comfort of what that bear represents for you. And you will start to walk on your own and kind of do your own thing. But until you go back, it's like literally, it's like this. This is where you are, right? You're here. This is what was broken. You got to go back and give that child what it needs for its comfort so you can bring that child along to where you are. You have what I'm saying is you have an emotional age gap. And so I'm trying to get you to pull the age gap in. The closer you are, the better you are building. You just got to pull that in, and you heal on the journey in between.
Yeah, because I find myself getting angry when I see like children in public like getting coddled. Like it's like a resentment. Like, man, shut that kid up. Like
Absolutely.
like whoop that ass. Like what are you doing?
But you know what? That's the child. The thing about that is that child that is locked in a room. They're looking out at the window at other children playing. So that's the part of you that's looking out the window, watching other kids have access to a desire. And that's where you have to focus and hone in the healing. Is that even though I can't be out there with them yet, at least I have a teddy bear to drag around and love on, and it loves me back. I can build whatever relationship I want with this inanimate object. But as I become brave enough to step outside the door and experience life, I will need that thing less. I now have emotionally graduated to a place to where I can love the dog 100%, and the dog can love me back 100%. And so instead of it being a codependent relationship, it becomes a coexisting relationship.
God, this is so good.
She's so good. Yeah, you guys don't forget to hit Zen with the fave, please and thank you. Gifts are appreciated, and all the guests and the hosts, welcome in, welcome in. What do you say to people that feel like Like I know for me, I have the fight or flight response always activated. So when things don't go the way I want, that I've been in over 30 relationships, right? And I talk about it freely on here. It's going to be the basis of my next book. I'm great at dating. I am absolutely great at picking them and getting them, right? But I am not great at keeping them because, you know, of all, and it's not them, it's me. I already know it's me. So what do you say to someone that is ready and is in a relationship, a long-term relationship that is, you know, geared for permanency? What do you do with this fight or flight? Like every time something doesn't go right, the immediate response is, I want to get out of here. I want to get out of this.
No, you need to identify your triggers. What I tell people all the time, especially people who are trying to evolve past something, a moment in their life, you need to identify your triggers. So I'm going to have you, if you were working with me, I would have you get a small memo pad. And every time something triggers you, I need you to write it down.
Write it down. I'm supposed to be doing that. You're right. That's what my therapist told me to do too. Go ahead.
Write it down. And at the end of the day, watch this. At the end of the day, what you do is settle your debt. It's called settle your debt. Because for some reason you feel like you owe yourself or owe something. But if you see it written on paper, it's going to allow you to recall and be accountable of what you feel about you in that moment.
Mm.
I experienced this and it traumatized me. I experienced that and it traumatized me. So when you start to see it on paper, what traumatized you, you can shed tears behind it. Tears will heal that. And then the next time you experience that, it will be less traumatizing. What it is tears that you've never shared because you never shared. Let me say that again. It is tears that you never shed because you never shared. So you got to go back and cry for things that were done to you so that you can heal to experience things that are for you.
You know, about that trigger stuff, like I've been noticing because my therapist taught me it's called a amygdala hijack, and
Absolutely.
I used to tell my ex, and it's nice when you know what's going on and how it works. So my therapist said once you get your hijacked, it takes up to 40 minutes to let that course through your veins and calm down. And I'm like, damn, don't hijack my amygdala. Now I got 40 minutes to be pissed off. And it's like, it's very useful because it allows me to know 40 minutes designated for this to like calm down and feel it instead of letting it drag on throughout the day or week. But I really love because I've noticed just this past weekend is a great example. Twice on Friday, I had people come to my house, two different men peeking in my window in my house. And that was a huge fucking trigger. And it was like the pest control guy, right? Like he just walks up to my window and starts peering in and talking to me. And I'm like, whoa, like, and I just like,
yeah,
I just go like I go straight into fight because I'm in my sanctuary, you know? And it's like like there's a man in my window. And then I did a lot of thinking and I'm like, you know what? This kind of reminds me of the time when I was in a jail cell and every 30 minutes there'd be an officer coming and looking in my room, looking in my space to make sure I'm still alive. And that was a trigger. With the flashlight too at night, you know, in my
Absolutely.
face.
Mhm.
So I also recognize like, man, this is deeper than just feeling violated. It's my childhood trauma of being
Absolutely.
peered into and just and I just think the whole trigger thing, like being able to identify the trigger and also know what's going on physically and mentally is so
super
useful.
helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What you do is what I do when I work with folks, I say, when you feel a trigger, say this to yourself: I don't like it when.
I don't like it when.
I don't like
Right?
it when.
So I don't like it when people peer in my window. So I need you never to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
You're not absorbing the trauma. You are telling them that is a trauma and you need to stay right on over there. Use
Mm-hmm.
your words. When someone violates you in any way, shape, form, or fashion, or someone makes you feel uncomfortable, you say to them, I don't like it when you do this. It triggers me into a negative headspace. The thing about the amygdala, it is a area of the brain that allows you to switch between the left and the right hippocampus of your brain. And so when it's off, you sit in only one side. So a lot of people, like you, Miss Anomaly, you're in the logical part of your brain and you stay there. And the reason you're only using one side is because you have learned using that side produce better results than living in the affectionate, comparing, compassionate side. So you learn how to survive by living in one atmosphere or one hippocampus, one part of your brain. So you know the logical, rational, foundational part of your life, you can live there because you can problem solve through life that way. You find that you don't switch over to compassion and empathy and divergency. You're not able to get over there because doing that will cause you to have pain. So you
Wow.
have
So is
learned
it
to
broken?
no, you have just learned to shut off the switch.
Yeah. My
So
first group home.
in your house, the lights are on and the switch has been removed.
Okay.
So
So I gotta like call an electrician.
No, you got to figure out what's within your wiring created you to only think with one side. We know the triggers. We know the why you did it. The why is you've told us in the beginning what the why is. But in
Yeah.
order to give yourself permission to feel something, you got to know what feeling something is.
my therapist had told me you can talk about your feelings, but you don't feel your feelings. And that was like again like another like because I sit here talk all day to you guys, but just like Anomaly, I'm very much in my logical because like Zen's saying, it's more comfortable for me. I don't like being comfortable with my emotions because my emotions have betrayed me or didn't bring me what I wanted. Because you know what? As a kid, it didn't matter how much you wanted your mom and dad to hold you or hug you, it wasn't going to happen. So then you learn that your emotions can betray you. Yeah.
So it's like this, okay, you guys, if you don't know, I'm an empath. I am 100% empath. Although I can be logical, believe it or not, the childhood I had created logical thinking in me. My nurture is right brain, but my nature is left brain. So I am able to switch back and forth between myself. I never closed that light switch. I never took it off the wall, right? So I'm able to operate on both sides and find solutions for things that I go through on both sides. So for me, I can understand someone is highly logical, but I also can understand someone who is highly emotional. So I try to give them information to help them find balance. There, believe it or not, there is safety on the right part of your brain. There is ways to be safe. The beauty about being divergent is that you are multiplicated. That means you can use all five parts of your humanity simultaneously. So you learn to work with it all. So instead of starving, you know the five parts of humanity: mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, financial. So instead of cutting myself off emotionally, I learn how to switch it off and use another part of myself so that I can solve the problem. Then I cut the switch back on and I'm able to be emotional. So we're not taught. I have that switch naturally, but if you don't naturally have that switch, you're going to live in one or two parts of yourself. You're only going to be left brain or right brain, depending on how you see life. What makes me different is I'm divergent. I can use either or. As a child, to survive, what I did was I didn't cut the switch off. I didn't take the switch off the wall through my trauma and throw it away and say I'm only going to be firm and I'm only going to be this and I'm going to be tough and I'm going to be. What I did was I said I surrendered to the moment and I said that's their problem, not mine. That's their reality, not mine. I literally had to gaslight myself to accept the fact that what I was suffering through didn't belong to me. But that's how I operated.
I feel like in you talking, it almost feels like we are all malnourished children. Like,
Yeah.
with a malnourished child, you can see that child is starving and needs nurturing because you can see. But we have like emotional malnourishment. People can't see it. But if wouldn't it be a great world if we all learn how to read the signs of emotional or spiritual malnourishment? So then instead of us reacting with anger or violence, we can like look at the trolls that come on streams, right?
Mhm.
Hurt people, abandon people, misguided people, and we react with anger. So we need to kind of figure out how to learn this and respond with kindness instead. Go ahead, Anomaly.
So so I'm on my mission is to become a divergent. And would that mean then that I should be looking for somebody who is also divergent,
No.
or someone who is mostly nurturing? Or
What you
like,
need to do is train yourself to feel something. That's what that teddy bear would do. The teddy bear would unlock the switch because now you have a place where you won't be judged, you won't be categorized, you won't be seen as weak, and you can live in the emotions of what you feel in that moment. It's a place you can go and you can feel an emotion, just one. We're gonna work with one. Anger is an emotion too, right? But we're gonna work with one positive emotion. Crying is a
what's
positive emotion. Being unsure of yourself is a positive emotion because it will force you to use the left side of your brain to solve the problem. So you cry about the problem, you get up and you go create a solution. And now you understand that the side of your brain that you've cut off has real value. But if you express only anger when you use that side of your brain, what you're doing is you are presenting cortisol in your bloodstream, which can create other health issues if it's
mm,
given in your body over a lengthy period of time. That's why they tell you stress can end your life. That's why people die
mm,
from heart events because cortisol can crystallize in your bloodstream, enlarging your arteries and your heart to a place where you will have an attack. So be very careful. Learning this skill will save your peace of mind. And plus, you're going to give that left side of your brain a break because it's been working overtime.
yeah. My therapist said, because I experimented with shrooms this past year, and one shroom trip, it was deep, and my therapist said that the psilocybin is literally probably the only thing that has been able to for me to lower my walls, because otherwise, even if I want to, like, I was in couples therapy with my ex fiance the whole time, and I'm like, I want to accept your love and I want to like be open, but my walls are so fortified from my childhood that I just feel so numb. I feel like when I watch Dexter, I feel like I relate to him because I don't feel human. If anything, I feel like I'm deficient in some emotions, because like when you tell me about this teddy bear, I'm thinking, okay, I could picture me getting this teddy bear and looking at it. Now what? Like like like
That's the point. And this is what you do. This is what you do. Be abnormal. Learn to be abnormal with that. Because if your partner wants a hug, you're going to feel separated from that experience. So lay on the bear. You don't have to do anything. You're not going to feel anything the first few times that you do it. You're not going to feel connected to nothing. It's going to be okay. Now, every time you have a traumatic event, guess what? You're going to go to that bear and you're going to lay on that bear and you're going to start to feel something over time. You're going to start to feel something. Let your body and your mind feel that serotonin. Let your body and mind feel that dopamine. Let it feel those four chemicals working simultaneously so you know what the body should feel like when it suffers trauma.
Everybody hit a fave on GT Stoner. Thank you for the wheel. That's my bro, and he is a streamer. Welcome in, everybody. We're talking about childhood trauma. Please feel free
I'm
to
gonna hop
request
out for a sec, but I'm still listening. Thank you so much, Doc.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
If anyone wants to
I'll hop
request the
back in.
box, you can. We are talking about childhood trauma with Zenology, Zenlogical. And if you have any questions, please put it in the comments or feel free to request a box. This has been like a great conversation. We have like 8 minutes left, but is there any last things you want to leave us with before we wrap up this conversation?
I don't know why I need to say this. I'm feeling that this is necessary for somebody in the room. Rejection is protection. Someone is rejecting you because they think that you're not worth it, but actually it's for your protection. I need you to understand that what you're going through is that door is meant to be shut. I was on Instagram and this pastor was talking and he made it so very clear for me, myself as well. He says, sometimes we're knocking on the door of something because we got shut out, and we're knocking and we're knocking and we're knocking. But I wasn't able to see the building because I was so close to it. I was so close to the building. He said, but I went away, and as I gave it distance, I realized it was a slaughterhouse. So sometimes you're knocking on the door of something that is meant to destroy you. So you got to understand, when someone closes a door, believe that that door needs to be closed. Don't take it as a slight against your own humanity. Don't take it as a moment where you have to heal past something. It is for you to walk away, because any type of disrespect deserves distance. We as people who suffer from abandonment issues need to understand that every door that gets shut is not meant for us to lose. Sometimes the door being shut is meant for us to live. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, Uma, for having me.
Look, we ended on 111 people in the room. Isn't that wild? Zen, before you go, please tell people how they can get in touch with you, off streams, on streams, and a little bit about your streaming schedule. Y'all, please hit her with the fave.
My streaming schedule here on Meet Me is Tuesday and Thursday, 7 p.m. My stream on TikTok is Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 7 p.m. You can always hit me up through Instagram and TikTok. If you tap the banner, that is my name, you will see both my Instagram and TikTok. To personally converse with me, go through Instagram, go through the messaging feature, and hit the video and or hit the phone. But I request that you say, hey, do you have time for me today? Because if you hit me up on a random, you might see some stuff you don't want to see, and we don't want those problems. But no, I'm always here for you. If you need me, you can hit me up through Instagram. If you want a session, my prices are located on my Instagram. If you want a 30-minute talk time, 60-minute talk time, mapping, whatever you need, my prices are there. If you want to send love offerings, my Cash App also is available. You can do that there, because my goal is to heal. I want to help people heal to their purpose, not just fight for it. You don't have to fight to get there. Sometimes just letting the tide of life carry you there is the best approach.
I love it. Thank you so much, Zen. It's always a pleasure as usual. I'm gonna let you exit the box. You guys, please.
Thank you.
Zen Logical with that fave. Thank you.